A warrior at last. Hello, and welcome back to Mad Men with a Box. I'm here with a special guest. Well, not really that much of a special guest because you've seen him before for this review. Professor Pixel is here. Hello.
Seen him not special?
Well, to this format, I'd usually do these reviews by myself, but let's special in quotations because you are a host on this channel, so it's not you're not really an outsider.
I'm no Landry Q. Walker.
Yes, but Pixel's here to join me because I would say this is probably our most anticipated release for Big Finish. We are talking about the return of Doctor Who Unbound with Doctor of War #1 Genesis. I was like so hyped for this story because A, it's what ifs, B, Big Finish 6th Doctor. Like, where could you go wrong? I love it. Take my money.
Yeah, I mean anything with Colin Baker. People who watch the channel know how I feel about Colin Baker. He is
he's not my favorite, but he is underrated, and he just had everything against him until Trial of a Time Lord. That's when he got his big break. Unfortunately, he had to leave.
Well, now he's tired of everybody being against him, and now he's decided to take it out on the universe. So
yes, as the warrior. So we're gonna go with our initial thoughts of Doctor of War. We're gonna give our ratings. We're also gonna go with a spoiler section because we really do want to talk about this. So this is a very different review that I usually do. Not only do I have a co-host with me for this, but I'm going to go into full spoilers. But before that, spoiler free, our initial thoughts of Doctor of War. Pixel, you're the special guest. What were your thoughts of Doctor of War Genesis?
Well, like you said, this was one of our most anticipated releases of this year. And I mean, since 2008, Unbound's been gone, and now it's back, and it has a different format than before because they're releasing multiple box sets for this story in particular, telling of the Doctor as a warrior. And the idea of it shouldn't sound too foreign because we do have the War Doctor, but this is taking it to another level. He has gone He's gone to extremes here that we never thought he would. It's very cool how they use this and how they tell the stories they want to. The characters involved, I feel like the motivations are properly there, and I think the twists and turns throughout it overall is pretty dang solid. And I just have to go ahead and commend both Tom Baker and Colin Baker, both Bakers, even though the one Baker only has like 10 minutes, but it's really solid from both of them throughout this. And I don't know if because Romana is in the story, just that's not really spoilers in the cast list. She was great as well.
Yeah, I'm going to assume it's Romana 1 because she has like similar inflections, like speaking vocal mannerisms. So I feel like it's just like a recast. The other one that's really different is Barusa. I know Barusa is definitely different but like with Romana, I feel like it's supposed to be Romana 1, just going with how she speaks.
I got that feeling too. She's definitely more soft spoken than Romana 2, who I guess just wasn't invited for this story.
I mean, it'd be a bit weird with like having the same Romana 2, because the whole point is like you would have had to have like a version of the Key to Time arc to meet Astra, and then Romana 2, when she regenerates, would have to model her appearance off Astra. So kind of makes sense if they're just going with Romana 1, because this is essentially just we're doing a variation of like the fourth Doctor after Genesis, just only bits and pieces, but with a version of the Sixth Doctor that is a version of the War Doctor.
Which is actually a version of the Fifth Doctor, which is very
Yes,
it's a very
it's complicated.
timeline now.
The Warrior is the appearance of the Sixth Doctor is a version of the War Doctor, but it is the fifth incarnation of the Doctor.
I feel like I'm gonna have to get out the whiteboard in a second.
Yeah, get the red string, connect all the dots.
But to finish off my thoughts overall, I was very hyped for it. It didn't let me down. I do feel like it's a little underwhelming because this definitely feels like it needs its second box set out now. I need the story to continue because it doesn't really feel finished yet. But if I were to give it a rating, I would say it's a 7.5 out of 10 for me. Before I pass it back to you.
Yes. So this was also my most anticipated release. I love what if stories when they're not just overutilized. There isn't just like a huge abundance of them. I really like the Sixth Doctor and Big Finish. Definitely got his time to shine. And this is the year of the Sixth Doctor. Peloton, Minor the Hodiak, Stranded 4. Colin's working hard. It's still continuing. We still got Waterworlds, I believe it's called, part of the Sixth Doctor Adventures. Then who knows what else. We still also got the second part of this, Destiny. But I really enjoyed it. A lot of the twists and turns. Some I put the pieces when I figured it out. Like as once I got details, like okay, I figured out the twist there. But like some of the twists and turns, I just did not expect. I was genuinely shocked. I liked the direction that is going with this Doctor of War, the Warrior. But nothing against John Hurt's War Doctor. I love John Hurt's War Doctor, but they really just did it. It felt like it's just okay. He just doesn't call himself the Doctor because he's participating in the Time War now. He's not the good man, but they don't really show
he pushes a button and he feels like he can just wipe away his name. Really,
yeah. Whereas this one, like, we'll get into it a bit more with the spoilers, but like what he is doing, like, kind of really justifies, like, yeah, he is not the Doctor. He is a warrior. He's truly forsaken his name.
Formerly the Doctor.
Formerly the Doctor that was. as the Scarans, the United Cals, the Calids and Thals, you call them the Doctor that was. But I liked it, and I agree. The biggest detriment to this is that this is just the first half of the story, which I think I wouldn't really say is the fault of the writers. I think it's just the fault of them making it a 2-part box set. That's a problem Big Finish has had with a lot of their releases, especially having released them in 4 box sets. The story just gets really dragged on, and it's just okay, can you just get to the plot and finish this? I don't need these extra things that have nothing to do with it. So yeah, it does really feel like the first half of the story. I mean, it's called Genesis, so it's the beginning. I do like that they actually quote unquote show, they portray the moment that changes history, because with a lot of the Unbounds, you're just thrown into the world and you're just told in the premise, oh, what if the Doctor arrived too late on his exile? No, what if the Valeyard won? You don't see it actually happening. You're thrown into the world after it happened. You're seeing the consequences of that change. Whereas here, we get a recreation of Genesis of the Daleks with Tom Baker, with the Fourth Doctor, Sarah, Harry, him making the decision. We know how it goes. He doesn't, but in this, we see that he actually commits to it. So I do like that change, this new direction that we're showing the actual point where the timeline changes. If I were to give it a rating, I would give it a 8 out of 10, despite the fact it's the first half of a whole story. I do like everything. I definitely got my money's worth out of this box set. Actually, one more little complaint. It won't really affect my rating, but I feel like the jumping to and from the points of history was a bit jarring. So it's just okay, first story, first 9 minutes is if you want to go continuity wise, first 9 minutes beginning, then it's the second story, then it goes back to the remainder of the first story, then it's the third story. I just felt like it's just jumping all over like the Warrior's timeline to just set him up to where he needs to be was a little jarring, but it didn't really particularly affect my enjoyment of this box set. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
I can certainly respect that.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're going into spoilers. This is a little bit different. I try to keep it spoiler free. So now we are going into our spoiler section. If you want to avoid spoilers, I'll put the timestamp to when we end it. I'll probably discuss something a little bit else attached to it, or just end the video. So now, spoilers. So we get to our first story, Dust Devil by John Dorney. As we mentioned before, we begin with the alternate take on Genesis of the Daleks.
Do I have the right?
Do I have the right? Yes. It was just here. I've already heard the excerpt before. The excerpt that you get if you subscribe to Big Finish is that first 9 minutes of like that. But I think it's done so well, and like I said earlier, like I'm glad they actually show the change. They don't just throw us into the world and just make mentions that he did it. He committed to killing the Daleks, because I'm actually surprised they never, even with like during Unbound or even any like other story, they never tried to do something with this. They've made mentions of like history changing here. Like I think there was in a novel where like the incarnations before the Seventh Doctor were all being like changed to like more darker and evil, and just the Fourth Doctor one was he killed the Daleks. He stopped their existence, and also in Unbound and He Jested Scars, that the Valiard is the one that does it. But I'm surprised they never tried anything with this. Like, what if the Doctor did kill the Daleks? What if he prevented their genesis?
It's something that I've always considered as well. And we know, even though in the main timeline that he doesn't do that, it's still one of the major sparkings of the Last Great Time War. So that event itself is such a point in history that's important, even though it ultimately does nothing. But here, he goes ahead, he decides he has the right, and everything falls apart after that. Yeah. And his transformation, actually, it is like the Sisterhood of Karn. Here, drink this.
They don't outright say it's Khan. They just mention it, and it's just like, it's the same thing. Yeah,
there's some hermit ladies. Here's their soup.
Here's their soup. I do like the nice detail is that it's Narvin that rescues him. It's Narvin that's with him for the majority of that and the second story, because I know you haven't listened to the Gallifrey series. Am I correct? All right, so Narvin is a main character in the Gallifrey series. I'm up to the Time War stuff, but he's a great character. And I can't remember which series volume it was, but Narvin is the one that sends a Time Lord back to recruit the Doctor to commit genocide on the Daleks. He's the one that does it, because I think at the time, like, the Daleks were attacking them. They were attacking like the different versions of Gallifrey across the multiverse. It's like, okay, they're a threat. Let's see if we can do something to stop them. So he sends a Time Lord, like, here's a time ring. Go find the Doctor in this incarnation. Tell him, like, recruit him, make him go and like prevent the Daleks' creation. So I do like it's a really nice detail. I don't know, intentional or not, that Narvin is in that story. I loved it. It was a good callback.
Yeah.
And then we get our warrior at last.
A warrior at last. Yeah, I didn't know how to feel about that line. At last, like he's been anticipating it. But I guess at the end of Tom Baker, who I didn't hear that 9 minutes before. This was my first time hearing it. It was brilliant. His performance is brilliant. He takes that dark turn and he uses it.
Yeah.
And then obviously another Baker just comes on in and steals the show. But
Yes.
Going from there to where the Sixth Doctor is, come on, Perry, and they're on a beach.
Yeah, so this story takes an unexpected turn. We're now following the Sixth Doctor and Perry, like, because we knew from the cast list that Nicola Bryant was going to be in this as Perry. We just didn't know in what capacity. But the fact that it was the Sixth Doctor, the Perry of like the supposed like main timeline Doctor, it was like so unexpected. But their story is like they're now being hunted by temporal bullets, sentient bullets. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
We're gonna get you.
And the story goes back and forth because you're following what you believe to be the warrior. He's trying to find a tomb. He's on Iridius, which was a planet in classic Doctor Who story, The Chase, which also featured the Daleks. So I had to look that up. I was like, oh, that has to be something. That can't just be like a random planet they name. I had to look and say, oh, it's from The Chase. That was a Dalek episode. So you have what we believe is the warrior on Iridius looking for a tomb, and then it's cutting back and forth with that, with the Sixth Doctor and Perry being hunted down by temporal bullets. The twist being, it was the Sixth Doctor the whole time between the two different parts, because he is searching for his tomb, not a tomb, his tomb, because he needs a way to stop the temporal bullets. If there are two people, two of the same person in an area, it will confuse them. But the extra twist is another person who is hunting him, who is none other than Miss Brown.
Not Perry, though. She doesn't like that name.
Not to be confused with Mrs. Brown from Mrs. Brown's Boys, but I think that would also be terrifying to be hunted down by her. But an alternate Perry is helping to hunt down the Sixth Doctor on the Warrior's orders, because the reveal is the Sixth Doctor is an aberration. He's a time remnant. He's not supposed to exist in this timeline. So that was just Dust Devil. I think was like a really great opening story, because you don't expect anything. I did not expect it was actually the Sixth Doctor and Perry there. I did not expect the twists and all. I was just so amazed with that first story, because I thought it was just going to continue just on from like, okay, he's the warrior now, and like we're seeing like now we're going to see like the building blocks of like the ramifications of what he's done. But no, it's like you're throwing him like further forward to where he's already ruling, and he's just hunting down versions of himself that should not exist. Because he mentions it's the last one. It's the last one he's hunting.
Then he's done. Just one more. And the fact that it was the Sixth Doctor who was sticking around. Poor number 5. He's just skipped entirely. Goodbye. but it was brilliant.
It was brilliant, yeah. So yeah, John Dorney. That was written by John Dorney. John Dorney. That was a really like amazing like first story.
Yeah, no, it was a twist that I definitely didn't see coming, especially secret assassin Perry Brown. That's something that I never thought I'd see. Warrior Queen Perry Brown, yeah, sure, okay, but not secret.
So we got another Perry to add to the millions of Perrys that exist.
Here's another one.
Here's another one. So moving on to Aftershocks by Lou Morgan. Guess what? It never ends with the Sixth Doctor. He's on trial. Again. Even if this isn't the Sixth Doctor, it's a fifth incarnation called the Warrior.
I think that face just has a problem with the law.
It just has a problem with the law, yeah. It's just he's always on trial. He just can't catch a break, can he? But
he fights the law, but the law doesn't win.
The law never wins. The Warrior is on trial, but the problem is he doesn't know what for, and no one is telling him. But he has assistance from an unlikely ally, the Master. Jeffrey Beaver's the Master. Not from going off the picture on the box set. He's not crispy.
No, not cooked. No,
He's not cooked.
He is just the right temperature.
He's just there. He's room temperature master.
That's right. And his performance in this is great. It was a little confusing because he would disappear whenever anybody else entered the room, but he's basically telling him, "Oh, really? You told me to do this. You told me you would act like this." And somehow he just vanishes. So he's like a figment of his imagination while not being that.
Yeah, from what he says, it's a memory from the future pushed into his subconscious because he's going through regenerative trauma and because of what he's changed history, so time is in flux. So he's remembering stuff he has not encountered yet or has not lived through yet. So given what it's revealed that's happened, it feels like it was something that's happened already, and it's just they've gone back to change events because it's a master from the future trying to assist him in making sure like the cycle is broken, because there's a mention, this has happened before already.
This keeps happening.
This keeps happening, and like I'm going to be honest, I think the ending of this still kind of confuses me.
No, it's the same for me because this is the only part where we hear Daleks, and that's the problem. When you would say, "Oh, the Daleks are still around. They're not happy now. They have a time ring, and they mastered the vortex." Well, guess what? We should be hearing more of them. Except instead, there's this one. We are the twins. That's it.
Yep.
That's your only Dalek.
Yeah.
At least he goes high and low in the register, I guess. But
yeah. Nick Briggs, utilizing his vocal range.
That's right. You get one story, Mr. Briggs, but that's it.
That's it.
And another neat twist in this, though, is the fact that Skaro appears to be united. They're just Skarans now, as you said before. Rather than the Thals and the Khalids, they don't care about that.
Yeah,
they're the Skarans.
Yep, and repercussion of the Doctor genociding the Daleks is that he has united the inhabitants of Skaro after a long.
Lord knows how that works, because the Thals didn't want the Daleks the Khalids sticking around either. They were attacked, so.
I mean, who knows? But
remember the days when they were just simple cave people? I do.
Yeah, I do too. But
at the end of it, because they seem to be trapped inside of the what's it called?
It's very
not
complicated.
Paradigm.
Oobly, it's like Ooblis something. I can't remember the name. It's they're trapped inside something where like events are it's implied that events just repeat themselves.
Yep. And the warrior escaped from that, but that moment keeps replaying.
Yeah. And seeing if he can make variations of it from the outside.
I think this story is a little weaker because even though I do like the idea of the twins and the Daleks basically saying, "You made us," and like, Davros, who's that? It's still we just went through a mind fluxery. I'll go ahead and censor that a little bit. Mind fluxery with the first story. To go straight into the second one and do that too, I felt like it was a little much. Maybe if I took some time between the stories, maybe it would have hit the same way. But I think it was just a little too weird for that moment.
Yeah. I can see some.
Not bad.
I can see like when like some of the changes happen, like the twist suddenly being that the Daleks were the ones doing this trial the entire time. Like Narvin was actually working for them. I could see that when the time changed, because like they make mention, they have the time ring, they now have access to time. they revealed that's why he's on trial, because he gave the Scarans the ability to time travel, and they have now surpassed the Time Lords. And then you have the warrior mentioning, "Oh, can't you see that time is in flux? Something's happening," and like Narvin just acts like nothing's happening at all, because I think at that point that is when history changed, because I think it's somewhat subtle. Like the Daleks tell like that commander that they have another mission for her, if I recall correctly. I think that mission was to alter history with the time ring, while they go and observe the trial.
Of course, there's also the moment right after, whenever they're observing, saying, "You're relieved of duty," and she kind of screams into the microphone before being cut off. So it implies they deal with her, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. This there's like you said, like having a time twisting, weirding story right after one that just kind of did that. Probably wasn't the best idea, but I still think the performance in there were great. Like,
absolutely, there's
no in it. The master in there. I was hoping more of it to be like finding out like the master was going to be this. I was wondering if like the whole thing was going to be like they are now like proper allies, because like the Doctor has removed his limits. He's willing to commit genocide.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Of course, could have been interesting to also see the Master kind of take a, "Hey, wait a minute, this is my job. What are you doing?"
Yeah, there can't be two of us.
So he's the hero in the circumstance, but it wasn't that. It was that he gave him a mission saying, "Hey, I need you to do this for me with your uncrispy face." Yes. Of course, Crispy Master still makes an appearance, though. We can hear it because he kind of lowers his voice like this. Because he's the one witness on the Doctor's defense. What is it with the Master coming to the defense of the Doctor during a court case? Seriously.
It just happens. Just happens.
It only happened twice, but it seems weird, right? But that takes us to our final story. What's it called?
The Difference Office by James Kettle. The Warrior is now president of the Time Lords. He now rules it with a kind of an iron fist. Just, don't try and go back in time and change everything, because that's a big no-no now. He did it, but you can't, because he does not want to threaten his existence as he is now, which we get at the start with Narvin being killed. And I think it's very much implied Narvin tried to go back to prevent himself from saving the Fourth Doctor, or even getting him put onto the mission to kill the Daleks. So the Difference Office, they have new orders now to just execute anyone that's trying to commit a paradox, anyone that's trying to change time. And this really shows how far this warrior will go to just essentially just protect himself. He doesn't want anything changed. They are in a time war, but he needs to be the survivor.
Time, but he's in charge of time.
He's in charge. Yes.
You don't touch my time. This is my time to shine. Colin Baker basically said, "Hey, you're not touching me now."
Yeah.
At the same time, though, the story goes ahead and splits off, and there are the Shibogans, yes. And they seek this wise old man, and he goes ahead and proclaims himself, "Oh, I've had many names, but the one I respond to is Doctor." And it's the Doctor, it seems. So they have a peaceful protest that approaches Gallifrey, and somehow the Difference Department is not happy, because this Doctor isn't appearing as, an aberration. It's not the same. Somehow he does register as the one. So how is this possible? Because the warrior is in the Matrix. That's where he stays most of the time And it's a wonder. But while that's going on, there's an attack planned, and they just sneak in through Gallifrey as this peaceful protest is happening.
Yep, and we are introduced to the true instigators of this attack. It's none other than the Kralls. Do you know who the Kralls are? You probably don't. They only appeared in one story. They've appeared in one audio story. I think that's it.
It's been a long time.
They are essentially Sontarans without being a clone race. They just make androids.
Because androids are cool. They're not iPhone users.
Yeah, they're not. They hate Apple. But yes, the Kralls, led by Stigron, leader of the Kralls, has led a secret invasion into Gallifrey, and that is where it's revealed that the other Doctor that is there is just an android. Which I figured out. The warrior kills him, yeah.
He's like, I don't care if you're younger, you're dead. It doesn't matter. I don't care if I mess with time. I can do that because I'm president.
Exactly, yeah.
But because the invasion seems to have taken off, the Doctor meets with Romana, and they seem to have this strange kind of connection that they don't quite understand, but they feel almost like friends. Isn't that weird? Just so that somehow they're connected, huh? But through that, they make up a little plan, and it eventually gets to where the leader of this revolution, crap, I had the name up.
Stigron.
Stigra, yeah, it's Stigron. Yeah.
Stigron.
He becomes President Stigron. He just takes over.
But he can't. He does not have the crown, the sash, the rod of Rassilon. They can't legitimize his presidency because the warrior has gone off and stolen him.
That's right. And ultimately, though, there is an attack, and in that moment, Stigron takes Romana, and it leads to how we've been hearing the story the whole time, because it's told through Romana recounting the flashbacks.
Yes.
And ultimately, she goes ahead and he says, I am your president, not my president. it was just a little funny how they just threw that in there. But it ultimately turns out that she too is an android the entire time. Stigron is just wondering, wow, look at this. Great work. I wouldn't have done it this way, but it's great. And ultimately, most of his species in that moment, their ships are up there. He goes ahead and the Doctor kind of just destroys them.
Just kills, straight up just kills all of them.
What's a little more genocide?
Yeah. Come on. And to secure his rule on Gallifrey, so that Barusa doesn't take charge, because Barusa has been motivated by his partner, Zorcha, I believe. Yeah, Zorcha was her name. Was to take over as was her name. Yeah, sorry. Rest in peace. Has been motivated to take charge as president. They need a new ruler. And Barusa says if Stigron is not found and killed, he is going to essentially stage a coup and make himself president. But if the warrior can guarantee that he can kill Stigron, the warrior will stay as president, which leads to their final confrontation, and we learn not only is the Time War still going on, a version of the Time War, it's still the Time Lords versus the Daleks. There is a third faction in this fight. Is the Alliance. We've had the Alliance before, a couple of different times. We had it in the 2-part finale of Series 5 of Doctor Who. There's probably, I think there was a different Alliance in the comics, but the Alliance, different races who are just sick of the Time Lords and Daleks, and they want to take matters into their own hands. Which I don't blame them.
We are so done with your guys' bullshit.
They're essentially Cassie from Night of the Doctor, where it's just like there's no difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's ultimately it. There is a difference, but they don't see the difference.
They don't see the difference because they're not combatants in the war. they're not the main combatants in the war, but yeah.
I mean, Stigeron tries to go ahead and tell the warrior, because there was a homing beacon inside of the fake Romana. He tries to say, I can help you. We can fix this. We don't have to have this situation. Let me help you. And the warrior says, yeah, you could. Perhaps. But I made a promise. And he deals with him because he promised him.
Well, I feel like maybe it's left open-ended if he actually killed him, because he just goes back to Bruce. I think he just goes back to Bruce and just says that he did it.
He says the body's out front.
Oh yeah, the body's out front. But considering the fact we've had 2 twists with androids, duplicates,
what's one more?
I'm going to say that the warrior did not kill Stigeron, is only keeping him alive to learn more about the Alliance. Maybe to even use the Alliance against the Daleks. And he's created a fake just to keep his presidency, so that Bruce is not in charge. That's my belief. That's what I think. My theory.
I think that's a solid theory, because Bruce almost killed all the
Shibogans. Yeah.
Shibogans. What a name. Yes, almost killed all the Shibogans because somebody has to pay. But the warrior was able to convince him, well, if I kill this one usurper, then we're good. And ultimately, they seem to be. And it kind of just stops there. And that leads to what we said earlier. There's more to tell, and they haven't told it yet. So ultimately, it's a very good story. I think 1 and 3 are really solid. 2 gets a little muddy, but it's really good.
Yeah. So, no idea what the second box set is going to entail. I feel like it's going to be like the brunt of the Time War, because this feels like they were setting up the so-called early days. I feel like we're really gonna get into the time war. Hopefully that means like actual like Time Lords versus the Daleks, and then also the Alliance.
Yes, but we also want some Davros. I think Davros needs to come into this. He is their creator, no matter what the twins say. Davros is the daddy. Davros, you are the father. And
I mean, the Daleks is somehow still going to survive. If from the trailer we see at least like a huge battlefield of like destroyed Daleks, and then just 3 survivors. One of them is a variation of the special weapons. It finally got an eye.
Hey, you get to see.
You get to see properly now. You get to be like the others. You just have a huge cannon instead.
Yeah,
who knows?
It's definitely. Yeah. I feel like if we had just a little more Dalek, it could have been better. Maybe the second story should have had just a little more of the Daleks trying to go ahead, and they're doing it. But the idea of a united Skaro is definitely interesting. But when it comes to the story points, it just falls apart when you compare it to the first and the last story of this box set.
Yeah. It was still an interesting enough story. It's just it just got really muddled, and I had to listen to that second story a second time, and I'm still confused with the ending.
It's just that way. That's just how
it's just that, and the fact I mentioned earlier, like the continuity is going like back and forward. It's like,
and not in a way that lines up like the first story. So
yeah, but even
Jeffrey
then,
Beavers just being there.
Yeah, Jeffrey Beavers is the master. Perfect, amazing. But
Chef kiss.
I at least do like it's not just like, okay, we're gonna do like a traditional, like this is the early days rise of the warrior, such as every part is just him leading up to becoming like Lord President, and now he's gonna like full on fight in the war. It's like, no, you just get bits and pieces, and then you get implications of like this is who he is and what he has done. Like him setting up a department just to kill people that try to change the timelines. That's messed up. It's not something the Doctor would do.
No. I do not want any other version of myself out there. So
and then killing alternate versions of himself. Because the real question
is, does this one like carrot juice?
Probably not. None of them did.
Carrot juice.
Carrot juice. Infamous last lines.
But I think that is about it as far as it goes.
Yes, so definitely go check out Doctor Who Unbound, Doctor of War, Genesis. Hopefully this means we're getting, not just with Doctor of War, but hopefully it means Unbound is back. I feel like there's so much you can do with what ifs. I think we even also theorized stuff when we were talking about like Unbound stuff, like our own what ifs. And then seeing like others as well, like what if Amy traveled with the 10th Doctor, and stuff like that. No, because I think that's a good idea to have it with like Unbound, because with Lost Stories, they're not really adapting stories anymore that just weren't adapted or planned. Like aside from Mind of the Hodiak, I think a couple of their ones were just like alternate versions of stories that existed. Like Return of the Cyberman is just the original script for Revenge of the Cyberman. It's like, that's not really a lost story. That's just this is what it was originally supposed to be. I feel like Unbound is back. You have like a huge doorway to do just whatever.
Yep, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. Hopefully this goes over well. If it's successful, obviously they're going to try to do some more. And honestly, I think this is going to be one of my top Doctor Who releases of this year, just in general. When you compare the show and some of the other Big Finish stories, this one is just really up there in being what we needed, what we wanted.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the theme.
Our
theme song. Our new theme song.
It was definitely different. I knew that it would come up, and I just wasn't sure how I'd feel about it. I think there's a good mix of that old-fashioned sound where you can recognize, okay, there's the Doctor Who theme in it, but it's twisted enough.
It's not only just the Doctor Who theme, and it's also a twisted version of the War Doctor theme. It being like militaristic, kind of.
Yeah.
I thought they would just go like, okay, they're just going to do a different version of like the War Doctor theme because it's the Doctor of War, but like, no, not really. It's a good kind of mix. Like hearing that with the excerpt, I'm like, oh holy shit! I'm like, I'm ready for this story to come out. I'm ready for it. I'm surprised that it just came out as like my first knowledge of this coming out was you saying, hey, is it out? Oh wait, yeah, it is. And I'm like, wait, it's out? Usually they would like get everyone like ready for this. It's like with the release that came out before, Outlaws, they had like, oh, here's like on the podcast, we talked with Stephen Noonan, now our new first Doctor. Here's also our behind the scenes stuff. It's just like getting ready. It's like, okay, they're getting ready to release it. Like it's coming out. It's coming out fairly soon. And then it's like, okay, the next day later, it's out. But with like Doctor of War, I felt like there was nothing. They're just like, oh, it's here.
I felt like there was more excitement months ago when it was announced, and that was it.
Yeah.
And they decided that's enough. And honestly, I can understand. They want to get people used to the idea, okay, this is our first Doctor now. So you need, here's new stories. Get used to them. But here, I don't know. I just hope they don't try to drop the ball, because I'm really excited to continue with this.
Yeah. Hopefully the second one is as good or even better, and concludes the story. Like I said,
yes.
like Big Finish has had a lot of problems with having to do multi-box sets, like 4 box sets for like a single like story arc. It hasn't been good. Luckily for some series, it's done. Like with the 8th Doctor, that was where it really like showed like, yeah, they're really like dragging this out for like to have 16 episodes spread across like 4 episodes per box set. But
We get it. He's stranded.
Yeah, but that's done. Apparently, they're not doing that anymore. And it seems like with like the 6th Doctor box set that's coming out soon, the 7th Doctor box set, they're just doing single box sets that have 3 stories, like 3 or 4 stories. I'm like, okay, that's nice. That's good. That's all that really needs to be done. And it doesn't seem like they're not really like interconnected. So some maybe, or it's just like 3 separate stories all to themselves, just different adventures. And like, good. I need that change.
Yeah, and I can understand that. Definitely good that it's not for this though, because you got it. With the first one, that while that twist was there of, oh my gosh, that's the 6th Doctor, and it's just the 6th Doctor. It felt I was a little worried we wouldn't see as much of the Warrior as I was expecting, but thankfully in the second one he was there, and in the third one, rather than just the stories of his universe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's having more of a direct impact, and we're seeing the fallout of what he has committed, and then what this has turned him into. It's not just like, okay, he's now the Warrior, and we're just gonna have people mention what he's done. There's like, no,
we need to see him be the tyrant.
Yes, we need to see him be the Warrior, as shown in the trailer. If you haven't seen that trailer for Doctor of War, like, it's pretty good. But like I was talking to Pixel about this earlier. Like, he mentions a line: "I'm not here to rescue. I'm not here to help. I'm here to exterminate." That really kind of shows what kind of man he is. He's not a doctor. He's not a good man. He's a warrior. He would do anything to win.
Not the good man who goes to war. He is the war.
He is the war. And I feel like having it be a variation of the 6th Doctor is a really good choice. Another good choice would have been the 7th Doctor, considering Dark Manipulator. I've seen
Might
a lot
have
of people
just been a little bit too close to home, though.
Maybe, yeah. But I've seen a lot of people talk about, like, what if the 7th Doctor was the Doctor that fought in the Time War? I'm just thinking he would have won. He would have just straight up won.
Yep.
He would have just manipulated every force into killing each other. None of this. Oh, this is my last desperate act. I have to kill all of them. Like, he would have just killed the Daleks, just straight up. He would have had no qualms about that. It's like, hey, it's for the greater good. The ends justify the means.
It's what needs to be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that is our discussion and review of Doctor of War 1 Genesis. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Pixel, for joining me. Different kind of format. Yeah. Good to play off someone with these kind of reviews. Our next one will be, I don't know. You'll have to find out. I'm not telling you. Who knows? Who knows?
Spoilers.
But you'll definitely see both of us back when Destiny, Doctor of War Destiny, the finale, the second box set comes out.
There's no.
By then, oh no, well, earlier by then, I'll have the physical box set for this, because I absolutely ordered the physical box set for this. This is something I need in my possession.
Get ready for Chris's unboxing review.
Oh, I just got another order, and I know it's some Big Finish stuff, so some stuff I ordered like way back because they were on sale. But yeah,
Chris is solely funding Big Finish at this point.
I am. Nick Briggs, can you like just hire me for some ideas since I'm giving you all this money? Is that hard to ask? Like, okay. I'm buying all this stuff from you every week. At least I have some ideas, okay? You know.
It's a pay-to-win service, right?
It's an equivalent exchange. I give you money, you give me a job. Even though I have a job, but another job.
He'll take it.
But yes, that is it for this video. I'll probably be back with a solo review because it's quite a lot. I got quite a lot coming out this month. I still have Volume 3 of the Second Doctor Companion Chronicles. That's coming out soon. Volume 4 of Tortured One. That's also coming out soon. So I got those two to look forward to in the future. But overall, Doctor of War, definitely worth the wait. Definitely worth the money. I'm eager to see where this goes forward. Everyone in the cast, Colin Baker, Tom Baker, Jeffrey Beavers, Sean Carlson, everyone on the crew as well, they did a fantastic job. You did good, kid. But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. Ciao.
Alonzi!